Okay, one multi-track editing. You've got a couple of things already that come in useful for this, which is a magnifying glass, Control Alt, zoom in once, and then clicking on the background to get you back out to the previous view. The first thing you've got to do before you do anything else is group all the tracks that you're looking to edit here, and you do that from the mixer page, and you put it in group there. You see that it activates by the status turning yellow here. The important thing is to get this checked here, editing, and you've got to keep that phase locked audio enabled. Basically, this means that anything that you do to one track is then mirrored across all the tracks that you've included into that group. You can obviously name them as well, so multi-track edit, can't spell. So once you've done that, and you go back to your arrange page, and if you notice now, selecting the arrow selects everything. So the thing I like to do is listen to the track and chop it at the places where interesting stuff happens, roughly at the boundary of each bar, each 4 bars ideally. So backslash is your handy key command for that. It's like I like to think of it as a karate chop. There you go. So backslash, backslash, and there you go. You've got quick edits really quickly. So then zooming into this, what you want to do is look at the reference track that's got strong transients like the snare, or even better the kick, I suppose, since everything's going to happen on the kick. Pressing this thing here is going to give you a bigger waveform to reference against. Now, it's not the ideal thing that really, because that kick was recorded really quietly, so for the purposes of this, we'll do the edits against that. You probably know this already, but if you move the arrow along the height of a region, you get different tools appear. Now, the one that you want for doing this kind of thing really is this one here. Up at the top of the region, the arrow turns into a double-sided girder, if you like, with arrows pointing both ways. That means that you're trimming both sides at once. Now that we've got the groups enabled, that does that on every adjacent, well, every region that's part of that group. So we've got this handy thing here that we've got rough edits, and then we're going to zoom in and finesse everything very quickly here, like that. Zoom out, zoom in. It means that you can do this stuff at speed, really, which is what you want to do when you're doing something interesting here. Now, we'll leave it there for the minute, because that's kind of Control Alt seems to be all the zoom functions. So you've got your magnifying glass on Control Alt, you see, and then left cursor, right cursor. It also gives you those zoom functions there, where you can zoom in by increment. Up and down cursors also give you the vertical zoom. But anyway, doing like a sort of example edit, I like to stick things right at the end of an arrangement. So with this here, let's just pretend we've saved it as another project. Your first piece that you've earmarked, you'll Option copy, Alt copy it across like that. No doubt, yeah. Alt copy everything fairly frequently with your Photoshop stuff, and then I'm not going to presume that you know that, just in case you don't, but if you were to Alt copy this thing here, the object is that you get everything edited on the spot by first identifying the bits that you want and then finessing these transient points here, and then when you move them, it should just be a case of slotting them in place like that. If you enable this over here, shuffle left, everything just butts up nicely like that. so it means you can assemble a new arrangement really quickly from things like that. And then obviously alt copy gives you a convenient way of creating a loop out of a section that's working, perhaps. Alt copy and all that gives you that same thing again. So that's pretty much the best way I've found of doing it in Logic. It means that you can chop up like a big rambling piece of nonsense pretty quickly. So, like this. And then you go back in and finesse it. And there you go. I should say probably the quickest way of doing this is to select a big old chunk of something and then to delete the crap. Really, this is ultimately the quickest way. So you've kind of you've boiled it down to all the good bits, and then inevitably you've got a bit that you want to loop or repeat somewhere, and then it's just option drag, and everything will shuffle along as long as you've got shuffle left enabled. Shuffle right is something that you kind of use in fewer situations, I find, really. But yeah, on the Java Heat soundtrack, I did find that this was the best way of getting a good skeleton version of something really quickly, that you'd go in and chop everything to size and then just take out the bits that weren't that interesting, really.